Great afternoon, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graf of Okemos, Graf Chevrolet, and Graf Nissan, side by side on West Grand River. Stop and see Matt, Mark, and Greg, and they will take great care of you as they have on all 7 of my leases and purchases. And I am getting ready to head to Comerica Park and be doing that a little bit later this afternoon for the Angels-Tigers game. Looking forward to that, even though the Tigers have been outscored 19-2 in their last 2 games against the Indians and the Angels, and let one get away last night in the top of the 9th. But Miguel Cabrera at 499 and holding, and looking for a milestone home run tonight going against Shohei Ohtani, who has 39 blasts for the year. And it's going to be fun to see a pitcher, a guy who would start the All-Star game. And, Alex, when you think that all Shohei Ohtani has done is hit 39 homers to this point, pitch the Angels into a position where even without Mike Trout, they're a respectable team. But he is a MVP candidate, maybe the MVP candidate, and you're going to have a chance to see him play tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Yeah. No, like I said yesterday, selfishly hoping that Miguel kind of, waits maybe another day or so before he hits number 500, because that'd be pretty awesome to witness. I have my nephew going down with us, and that'll be his first live sporting event that's not Davenport baseball in his lifetime. So that would be a pretty cool first.
Yeah, and he's how old?
He is 5.
5 years old.
Yes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first time that you saw a Major League game? How old were you?
Oh, geez. It was in Tiger Stadium, old Tiger Stadium. I was real young. I had to have been less than 6 years old, something like that. I don't remember much of the game. I remember being there, I think, a lot more because of people telling me that I was there, but I kind of remember the ambiance a little bit. I remember it not being Comerica, but other than that, I don't remember much. But it was probably around that age.
All right. What are you looking forward to seeing with Shohei Ohtani? Are you more interested in watching him try to hit one out, or would you like to see him pitch? You won't get to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It would be nice to kind of get a taste of both. But, I mean, with what he's been doing with the bat and the home runs and stuff, obviously, I wouldn't want to miss out on any at-bat. So just the fact that I'll be able to see him hit live, maybe catch a little bit BP, depending on when we get down there. I don't even know if they allow people in to watch that stuff anymore now that with the COVID protocols. I haven't been to a game since pre-COVID, so I'm not sure how that'll work. But that'd be another thing. I mean, just watching him take batting practice would be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. What do you think that is like for a player to have to do that? The difficulty of being the ace of a rotation and then to lead the league in home runs, and he's batting leadoff.
Oh, I cannot even imagine. Exactly. It's one thing to do it both ways, but to excel at the level that he is, I mean, being at the top of the league in both of those categories, I mean, that's just wildly impressive. I can't wrap my head around it even a little bit. Even just at the college level to do, but I mean, it is a little bit more common at college, especially like Division II level, to have somebody that hits and pitches. But usually they're like a relief guy, someone that you can count on maybe on day 4 of the weekend. Usually not a starter. Very, very few guys can do that even at that level. So to do it at the highest level of sports, I mean, or of baseball, it's I don't think we'll see it again. I can't imagine that we will. I mean, we haven't really seen it before. You talking all the way back to Babe Ruth, and obviously the game's changed quite a bit since then. It really is mind-blowing, the fact that he's doing this and still doing this. Like, you're kind of waiting for one of them to kind of fall off and him kind of hone into one side or the other, but I mean, I'm not seeing any reason to think that he can't do this, for a career for his career.
A lot of people said, Alex, well, they should just make him a hitter or let him concentrate on pitching, never be able to do both, but hasn't seemed to bother him so far.
Exactly. I mean, like that's an easy talking point, an easy kind of conclusion to come to if you're an outsider looking in, but until like if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of saying, like, there's no reason to think right now that he can't handle it. I mean, the one thing that does worry me is just the mental exhaustion. But when you're talking an MLB schedule, I mean, regardless if you're playing both positions, one position, even if you're just traveling with the team as a trainer, I mean, it's mentally exhausting, and the mental preparation it takes, because you're not just playing 9 innings. You're getting to the field 3 hours before, you're leaving 2 hours after, and then a lot of times there's those quick turnarounds with the 1 o'clock game after a night game, and it always kind of cracks me up that for whatever reason, the general perception is that baseball is like the least exhausting sport of the 3 or the big 4 or whatever you want to talk. And maybe in between, like one game, one sample size of, one particular game. Yeah, maybe basketball, hockey, football, those are probably more exhausting from face value. But when you factor in how many games they're playing and the very little days off and all the traveling, and it's really mind blowing. So the fact that he can do that at 2 totally different positions, which in a lot of ways is kind of 2 different sports. I mean, which is why you see one or the other once you get to those higher levels. I mean, even in college, like usually you split one or the other. It's almost like the equivalent of playing wide receiver and safety for an NFL team and doing it at like a very, very high level.
Did you hear about the Jack Morris comment last night? Did you see it when it was made?
I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it until Jason Nick walked into the studio during Audrey Doggins' show, kind of talking about it. But I've heard it since. Yeah. I'm just kind of, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Yeah. I don't think he was egregious. I mean, that's my gut. But at the same time, I'm a white male, so I don't have any say of what is offensive and what's not.
Right.
But it just seems like a big, just a head scratcher as to what are you doing? Like, why would that even come up? I mean, it's just kind of funny.
Had it happened a couple of years ago, I don't know if Jack Morris would have made the Baseball Hall of Fame.
It's crazy to think that just a little slip like that can do it. But I mean, in the climate that we're in,
that's right.
And there's so much tension, especially towards the Asian community with, obviously with COVID and all the stereotypes and misconceptions that have come through that and some of the hate that they've received. So it's just like the worst timing for something like that. And like I said, I'm not one to say, is it offensive or not? You just can't say it because you just can't.
Did you see the statements from Bally Sports Detroit and the Tigers this afternoon?
I have not, no.
All right. I'm going to read them. They're very brief. Bally Sports Detroit says, we're extremely disappointed with the remarks analyst Jack Morris made during last night's Tigers game. Jack has been suspended indefinitely from Tigers broadcasts and will be undergoing bias training to educate him on the impact of his comments and how he can be a positive influence in a diverse community. We have a zero-tolerance policy for bias or discrimination and deeply apologize for his insensitive remark. Apparently, they don't have a zero-tolerance policy, or he wouldn't still be employed.
That's true.
So forget the zero-tolerance policy, but he is suspended. And the Tigers following up, saying, we take immense pride in honoring the diverse culture that has made up our players, coaching staff, front office, fan base, and community. We are deeply disappointed by the comments made by Jack Morris during the broadcast last night. We fully support Bally Sports Detroit's decision and their ongoing commitment to ensure that all their personnel are held to the highest standards at personal conduct. So Jack Morris getting a second chance, and I didn't know if he would get that. Mm-hmm. I thought when I heard this morning what had happened, and I was not aware. I'd watched most of the game, but then in the 7th inning, after Miggy's last at bat, I left, and I was listening to Dan Dickerson while I was walking the dog. Mm-hmm. So I didn't hear Jack Morris on the television broadcast, obviously, but then I heard about it, and I said, well, that's the end of him. So he'll be gone for a while. He might even be gone for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And then see what happens.
Do you think rightfully so? Or do you think he should have been fired off the spot? And I don't want to put you on the spot because obviously it's not a decision for you to make, but I don't know where I'm trying to decide where I kind of feel on it, and I think I'm on the fence.
Yeah, and I might be the wrong person to ask, having a son who was born in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah,
but I just think that Jack Morris has to be smarter than that.
Exactly. That's what bothers me. It's just like the awareness level. Like, how do you not have? I mean, you're not at a bar talking amongst a couple friends or whatever the case may be, and that doesn't excuse it either. But to know that you are on national television with a microphone in your mouth, like in today's climate, especially with the increase in the Asian hate and community and all that kind of like it's not just a random day. I don't know. It's you got to be smarter than that. You got to be more aware.
There's so much Asian hate crime now in this country. This is not a secret, and to make a comment like that, it certainly doesn't help the situation.
Exactly.
Probably, if it was meant to be a joke. Very poor timing.
Exactly.
I can't say I really know Jack Morris. I've covered him a little bit. I can tell you he's the only person who has ever refused me for an interview.
Really?
Ever.
Really? I think we got Tom's at the door right now. I think locked out. Should I go grab him?
Yeah, I think you should.
Right,
and I'm going to tell that story while you're doing that.
Do it.
Tom Lang is going to be with us at 4:30, and right now he's standing on the outside trying to figure out how to get in. So Alex is going to take care of that while I shed just a little bit of light with Jack Morris. And I think he's an excellent analyst, by the way. But that's not the point. And he was as much of a competitor as any pitcher, a big game pitcher, a clutch pitcher, as anyone in the last 40 years. But again, that is not the point. The point is, with what he did, now people are digging back. And this is what always happens. Once there's a trigger, Alex, they start to go back and say, well, was this a one-off comment? Did someone have a slip? Or is this who they really are? And with Jack Morris, people keep coming back to comments that he made as a player. And one in particular had to do with a female reporter. Did you hear this?
No, but I kind of I can see where you're going with it.
I don't know how much to go into this. He made a comment, and again, I could say this doesn't make it right. Okay, it doesn't excuse any of it. But I saw a lot of this. I saw a lot of this from athletes back in the 70s and 80s and in the 90s. And even 10 years ago, I saw this kind of stuff. And, Jack made a comment. I wasn't there at the time, but he was alleged to have said that the only time that I talk to a woman when I don't have clothes on is when I'm, in certain position. So, with that, now people are saying, well, this is a bad guy, or this is a guy who should have learned from his mistakes. And, not my call to make for what Bally Sports Detroit does. And he is an employee of the network. He's not an employee of the Detroit Tigers. So some people said, well, the Tigers should just fire him. Well, the Tigers, I suppose, if they really wanted to get rid of him, but, they're happy to give him another chance, too. But a lot of people who didn't like Jack Morris before, they're not going to like him now.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a segment of the population, Alex, that feels that there's too much political correctness, that we've gone overboard with this stuff, that, it's just innocent attempt at humor, and, you can't make fun of anything anymore. That's not a majority opinion, I don't think, but there's a group that certainly feels that way, and now Jack Morris might be a hero for them.
That's true. Yeah, no, but if that specific group, you're not worried about losing those lists, and I don't think you're going to attract more watchers or viewers because they decide, I'm siding with Joe Buck, so I'm gonna start watching baseball games. But you will get people that will turn it off because of it. So yeah, I mean, they got something, definitely some decisions to be made.
And each situation is different. We saw with Tom Brenneman, who was a longtime voice of Cincinnati, and his dad, Marty Brenneman, one of the Hall of Fame broadcasters, and he was gone. He was just jettisoned. And Fox said no, and that's Fox. Okay, they said can't have it. You're done. And he's trying to resurrect his career. He's doing a lot of things trying to get a second chance, and I think maybe he will, but he will have paid a multi-year penalty for this. And I don't think he'll ever be viewed quite the same way for comments. And then you wonder, too, if you say something that's insulting and demeaning, does it matter what group you are insulting and demeaning? If you are criticizing a different race, is that different than criticizing a different gender? Hey, we've had political leaders who've made fun of handicapped people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And done some extremely insensitive, inappropriate impressions in press conferences.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yep.
So, everyone sees it through their own prism. Mm-hmm. And prism, not prison. And when you consider what this decision was, maybe this is a middle ground. But I'm surprised that Jack Morris is being given a second chance. We'll see how long he is out, suspended indefinitely. Who knows what that means?
Yeah, and that could just be them, pulling it out a little bit and just giving themselves time to decide and decipher and digest where they should go from this and not come and make a quick decision. But it wouldn't surprise me, if 2 weeks we find out that they've let him go or something like that. And I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that too. Just to make sure, let's make a right decision, not a quick one.
That's a great point, Alex, because sometimes in a case like this, you see trial balloons. Mm-hmm. They send something up, and then they gauge the public reaction to it. Keith Olbermann, who has very strong political leanings, came out today and blasted Jack Morris and said, he'll be gone. And there are other people who I'm sure would defend him. But this is not the first time we've seen it. We saw it with Howard Cosell and his comments about a little monkey. We saw it with Rush Limbaugh and some things, comments he made about Donovan McNabb cost him his job on ESPN when he was there briefly. So, some guys haven't fared as well as Jack is going to.
I was going to say even Stephen A. Smith earlier this season with just the Shohei Ohtani remarks, kind of about the doesn't speak English, can't be the face of baseball type of thing, too.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that elevated too because of the climate that we're in, and it's unfortunate too that Shohei Ohtani is caught in the crossfires of multiple incidents with this.
Yeah. Well, where I'm sitting tonight, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the 500th home run ball. I might get a foul ball. I'm sitting behind the Tigers dugout, but Fred Thompson and I are going down this afternoon, and I was going to say if I got the 500 ball, I'd bring it in and give it to you, but since I can't.
Good luck. I'm going to say that there's going to be quite a mob and swarm for that baseball, and you might want to tread lightly because there could be some bloody noses and popped lips and all kinds of stuff going on to get that 500.
You would have a big advantage, having been a collegiate shortstop, going for a ball hit, let's say Miggy goes the opposite way to right center, but you're going to be up in a suite, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We have the hook up in the suite, and then we have seats down, I think, along the third base line.
Okay, that's about where we
are.
That.
Yeah. So 20 rows up or something like that. I actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever viewed a pro game from the outfield. I think that would be a kind of a cool. I've never had that vantage point. Where do you think he's going, left or right? Because I'm just thinking in my head too now. He's going to hit one in the bullpen. Nobody's going to get it. So it's going to be a bullpen pitcher that snags it or something. So
I got a feeling he'll probably hit it to right center. Yeah. But
that'd be fitting.
I've seen a boatload of games from the outfield, and I used to go down when I was young. Used to take the bus down to Tiger Stadium, 2 buses, and it was $1.50 to get in, center field bleachers.
Nice.
And saw 41 games in '68 when they won the World Series. The only games I had tickets to in advance were opening day and the World Series. 2 of the World Series games. They didn't have playoffs, and it was the last year before there were any playoffs. It was 2 teams made the postseason. That was it.
That's crazy.
And also covered the Tigers in 2006 in the postseason, and Kenny Rogers had a 1-0 shutout over the Yankees, and I remember very clearly freezing in right field. That's where they set up the auxiliary media seating, and wasn't dressed appropriately for that one. But seen a lot of games. The first year that Comerica opened, Alex, Larry Lage and I bought a season ticket and split it. And it was 2 seats together, but we thought we're going to get a great rate. This was an incredible deal in the first row in left field. And I said, this is a long way out here. It's really a long way then. And before they moved everything, the bullpens, and said, nobody's going to be able to hit a home run out here, but we're going to have great view in the first row. And then we figured out why the price was so low is because the configuration of the field is twisted. It's not the norm.
Yeah.
And so for evening games, you are staring into the setting sun, and you would get a headache by about the 4th inning. Really bad idea. All right. We will be back in just a minute, and we're going to have the long drive with Tom Lang from the Michigan Golf Journal. We have a couple of very special guests. Supposed to talk to U.S. Amateur Champion James Piot, and Brian Harris of Forest Acres is going to join us after the final round of the Michigan PGA Championship. We'll be right back.
At Culver's, we cook our butter burgers pretty much the same as you would at home, only our 3-cut blend of fresh beef will do. Then you'll need to master our signature press and sear technique. You may want to practice a few thousand times. Add real Wisconsin cheese, top with a lightly buttered toasted bun, and serve yourself with a big warm smile.
Better yet, come to Culver's and leave the whole cook-to-order butter burger thing to us. Welcome to Delicious.
As families and communities across Michigan gear up for an historic back-to-school season, Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join their dedicated team of school bus drivers. They offer competitive wages and paid training, quality benefits, flexible schedules, and most of all, endless opportunities to make a difference. Apply today at deanjobs.com to join this critical effort to help students return to learn this fall. deanjobs.com.
Welcome to Be the Referee with MHSAA Assistant Director Brent Rice.
After an uproar about officiating in a recent pro football game, an online article appeared with the headline, "Why in the world would anyone want to be a referee?" It's a good question. While everyone in the game, players, coaches, and officials, strive for perfection, only the officials are ultimately expected to reach that standard, and that's simply not fair. So why would anyone want to be a referee? Every referee will give you 3 little words: I love it. They love it because they know how important it is, no matter the level of play. And they want to be right all the time. And most of the time they are. And like a lot of other things in sports, the friendships and relationships built, the memories, they can't be beat. So we'll all encourage people to join us as referees, and for those of you who can't or won't, to stay in your lane when at the game.
Thanks, Brent. You can be a referee. Go online now to register at MHSAA.com. Be the Referee is a production of the MHSAA Network.
Jack Ebling here with Forest Acres course manager Brian Harris. Brian, it's just about time for some new product. You've got them all here at Acres, and terrific club fitting.
Yeah, we've got some of the best club fitting in the state of Michigan. We utilize the TrackMan technology with all the major brands. So if you're looking for clubs for yourself or that special person in your life, then we're the place to go.
Lots of different manufacturers.
Lots of different ones from all the major brands, Titleist, Callaway, Ping, and more. So please come see us for your club fitting today.
Stop out at Forest Acres. Take care of your golf game.
This is Dr. John Wyckoff. Are you sick and tired of being tired and sick? Maybe you need to take the right supplements. Save 20% on all of our quality supplements during the Summer Supplement Extravaganza sale. Save on all of our supplements to help improve energy, reduce brain fog, improve sleep, normalize GI functions, and stabilize mood. Save 20% on all of our great supplements both in the East Lansing office or online at wycoffwellness.com. Improve your health and get on the path to wellness today with Wyckoff Wellness.
Jack Epler here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, you got some new product, including electric vehicles.
Yeah, we got a lot of new product coming, Jack. On the Chevy side, we've got the 2022 Bolt EV and all-new Bolt EUV, which is just redesigned from the ground up. We're really excited about that. That's going to be hitting a lot any day now. Next door at Nissan, we've got the all-new redesigned Pathfinder from the ground up. I got to sit in it recently, drop dead gorgeous. And then we have the 2022 Frontier as well, which is completely redesigned. So fantastic product coming, and we're really excited.
Stop by and see Matt and company here at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
Why is Culver such a treat for so many families? Here's a hint. This treat is thick and creamy, and everyone can get it any way they like. Our fresh, frozen custard. We craft it in small batches throughout the day to make our guests stay. Shakes, cones, sundaes, concrete mixers, flavor of the day, oh, and the toppings.
Who says you can't please everyone? There's more than one way to dessert at Culver's. Welcome to Delicious.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers allowed 6 runs in the top of the 9th inning in an 8-2 loss to the Los Angeles Angels last night. Miguel Cabrera will continue his pursuit of his 500th career home run tonight after going 0 for 2 with 2 walks yesterday. Tarek Skubal takes the mound for Detroit tonight, and Shohei Ohtani gets the start for LA. Tigers outfielders Akil Baddoo and Derek Hill are getting closer to rehab assignments. Both players were placed on the injured list after colliding while making a play against Baltimore earlier this month. Baddoo remains on concussion protocol but has increased his activity and is symptom-free. Hill is dealing with sore ribs but could begin a rehab assignment soon. And the Lions are parting ways with veteran long snapper Don Muhlbach. Muhlbach spent 17 seasons with Detroit and sits at number 8 for most games played for one team in NFL history.
You're listening to The Drive with Jack Epler.
Sorry if you're offended by that.
SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graph of Okemos. 107 years in the automobile business. Stop and see Matt, Mark, and Greg, West Grand River. They will take great care of you, as they have on all 7 of my leases and purchases. It is time for The Long Drive, our weekly half hour of golf, mostly in the state of Michigan. Very happy to welcome again Tom Lang to the studio. Does an unbelievable job as editor and publisher of Michigan Golf Journal. How you doing, Tom?
Doing great. Thanks for having me always.
I keep telling people that if they don't read Michigan Golf Journal and they're a golf person, they're missing out.
I appreciate that support. I mean, I've always taken pride in that there's always some kind of a story for somebody.
Yeah.
I try to really have a lot of wide variety, men, women, old, young.
And people who aren't familiar with the publication, it's easy to get online, right?
Absolutely. MichiganGolfJournal.com. There's a place to click on and sign up your email address, and it'll be delivered to you once a month.
Okay. Well, there's a ton going on in golf, and it seems like we have a short golf season, and everything gets jammed into it. And then once in a while, you get a big story. You get something special, like James Piot and what he did. And Maybe we should have seen this coming after the GAM championship, right, that he won.
Well, he proved he was hot for sure. But when you're going up against 125 of the best players in the world.
Don't expect him to win the U.S. Amateur, but we thought he would show well.
Sure.
As a medalist, or I think he was second, right, in the qualifying?
Last year. This year he was 31st.
Yeah. So when you are 31st, you think, well, you're playing somebody just about the same in the opening round. That's,
correct.
34th.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then to continue through, and, he wasn't just winning one up. I don't think he had a match that was that close. I mean, he was winning 4 and 3.
He had 3 matches that were 4 and 3.
Yeah.
So he didn't even see the 18th hole except for stroke play.
Okay. All right. We're trying to get James on with us. Alex, do we have him now? We do. Okay. Want to welcome in Michigan State senior-to-be, the pride of Canton, Michigan, the first player from the state of Michigan in 121 years of U.S. amateurs to be the champion, and headed for the Masters and the U.S. Open and the Open Championship. We are talking about U.S. Amateur Champion James Piot, back with us. James, congratulations. That was some incredible golf in a marathon setting.
Thank you so much. It's been a crazy week. I still can't believe it, but thank you.
Tom, I couldn't believe the grind with this. You got 2 rounds of medal play qualifying, and then you've got 6 matches, and you're doing this with 2 in one day, and then you got 36 holes.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 9 rounds of golf in 7 days. I don't know many sports where they subject the athletes to that kind of thing. A lot of times they spread out the events when you get to something major.
Only in amateur golf could you do something like this.
Were you tired, James?
At the end, the last 2 matches, you're just running on pure adrenaline. It's you're not really thinking too much, about how your body feels when you're playing for a USAM. But the only time I really felt it was the round of 8 match, because that was the second day in a row I played 36 holes, I think. So it was that one was legs got a little tired in the afternoon match, and both of us looked like we were playing the best of golf. But it was definitely a cool experience, to say the least. And near the end, I wasn't even thinking about how I felt.
James, can you try to describe for us, in your own words, the vast difference between playing in a state tournament or a college invitational where there's almost no fans out there, to the exact extreme of you're on national TV, millions of eyes are on you guys, whether you realize it or not. Fans are running all over the place, no ropes. Can you put in your own words what your thoughts are on that?
It's really crazy. I mean, when you're playing local events, especially me, like you still feel like it's the biggest thing ever internally. You want to win when you go out there, and usually only my parents are the ones who show up, or I get occasional family member, MSU golf fan if you're at college events. But to go from that to USGA championship, where I was out there hitting shots, and they'd have just 2 people holding a rope behind me, and every time I'd hit a shot, they'd let the rope go, where people would start running, and I'd just get engulfed in a crowd, and I'd have to push through every shot to get to my ball. And it felt like, I don't know what the number was of people. It had to be like 1,000 or something like that. It was absolutely crazy. Just being on TV and having all those people around you and yelling a bunch of random stuff from the crowd, it was an amazing experience. And I just tried my best to kind of block it out as much as I could. It was nice seeing friends and family, so those are the people I noticed the most. And it was kind of like, let's not do something too stupid on TV with the mentality. But for my friends and family, it was awesome seeing them out there.
What were they yelling? What were you hearing?
Just a bunch of random stuff. Some of it probably not repeatable for the radio for my friends. It was a lot of just let's goes, and calling me Jimmy is what a lot of people from Michigan State like to do. So it's it got a chuckle out of me, even though I tried to stay cool and calm with the shades on the whole week.
Tom, we were trying to follow it, and Golf Channel helping us along with that over the weekend. And then on Sunday, you really had to be nimble with the clicker.
For
it was
sure.
Going back and forth, and Golf Channel, and then NBC, Sportsnet, NBC, and then, was it going to get blocked out?
I was waiting for the Food Channel to start.
Yeah, I mean, it was all over the place, but it was great theater. Can you take me through the thought process after your third 9 of the day on Sunday, and after having a one-stroke lead when you went to lunch? You came out for the first 9 of the final round, and suddenly you're 3 shots or 3 holes behind, and then you go ahead and you win 5 of the last 8 holes. So what changed?
It was just a mentality switch. I felt like coming off of lunch, though, I was swinging it really bad. Even in the beginning, the first 18, I felt like I didn't hit the ball well at all.
Did you have a bad hamburger? What happened?
No, just I couldn't tell you. I think he did a better job in the afternoon getting off to a good start and scoring it well. I didn't think either one of us had our best stuff in the morning. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it sure didn't look too pretty. But he just got off to a nice start, and I was just a little lazy with some of my swing mechanics. You play a long week of golf, and without a lot of practice, some swing tendencies start to kick in. So I was missing a lot of drives wide right, and I think after I bogeyed the 9th hole to go 3 down on my second 18, I kind of took a step back, and I thought about the day and what was going on outside of, you get so caught up in I'm 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, you don't think about how you're actually playing for the day. And I think in that moment I took a step back. I was like, all right, how am I actually swinging it? What would I be at in stroke play? And I was like 6 over for the day or something like that at the time, which Oakmont is the hardest course I've ever played, just having no wind or anything, let alone you put wind and fast greens out there. But right. I was there, and I was like, this isn't me. This isn't how I play golf. And I put a goal in the back of my head. I said, I want to shoot 4 under on the back 9, and I felt like if I did that, I could leave the day, being pretty happy about how I played, at least, even if I didn't get it done. And I think that mentality made a world of difference.
Jack, I don't think most people, except for the diehard golfers, realize how big a deal this is and what James accomplished. And because it's such a big deal,
life-changing,
he's going to get invitations to some incredible professional tournaments.
Yeah.
So, James, I would like to know your honest answer. When did the first thoughts enter your mind or creep in that you could go to the Masters?
Well, I was telling someone, I go, you know what, the semifinals match is the hardest one, internally, because you're sitting there, you're like, if I win this match, I mean, they invite fingers crossed, they invite the winner and the runner-up to the match. Yeah. So I kind of knew, this is 18 holes, 36 holes, you could battle back and, you could come back from whatever, but 18 holes, it's like you got to show up and play. So right before that the tee shot on the first hole that day with a big crowd, I was like, holy crap, this is for the Masters. So that was right there in the back of my head. I was just thinking, if you lose this, you get nothing pretty much other than an exemption to next year's event. So it was kind of always there in the back of my head, but I said, you can't think about that. If you're sitting there thinking about playing at Augusta over a 2-foot putt, your chances decrease a lot. So it was definitely something I just blocked out, and having Coach Ellis on the bag definitely was a big, huge boost for that, because we kind of kept it light out there and we were able to joke around, and having him read putts was a world of difference.
Well, you have as good a chance as anyone to get to Butler Cabin next April, because there are a lot fewer amateurs than there are pros, and there's so much parity at the professional level that maybe we'll see you at the awards presentation then.
That would be a dream come true.
Go ahead. James, you mentioned your caddy and assistant coach Dan Ellis at Michigan State. Can you describe your relationship with him and why you wanted him as your caddy for this event?
Yeah, just having him for college events throughout the season, he pretty much kind of caddies already indirectly. He does everything he did this week except without carrying the clubs for the college season. So he was already someone I knew I could trust, and really, like his company. He's an awesome dude, great guy I can relate to, and he gave me a call up actually after he missed his qualifier. He went to Columbus to try to qualify for, and was actually a couple shots off. He was really close to making it himself, but he called me up right after. He's like, "Hey, man, you need a looper? I'd be happy to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So that kind of just came to be real fast out of the blue, and turned out to be a phenomenal decision.
Well, you were kind of clutch throughout this whole tournament. Didn't you have to chip in a couple of times to qualify?
So, I mean, just the qualifier, the stroke play part was just a lot of nerves and just, just Egypt Valley to start off with before I even got here. I felt like I made the putter came alive, and I hit it awful, and just I putted lights out. That's what it was. The putter was hot, so that's kind of got what got me rolling with the putter I used during the AM. That was like the first big time event I putted with that thing, and I was like, yeah, that made a world of difference. And this whole week, that putter came through whenever I needed it.
James, you mentioned, James, that there was a lot of great family and friends around you and everything. I noticed almost the entire women's golf team at MSU was there as well. Is there somebody in your life that's kind of in the background that's really been a huge part of your success?
I mean, it's just been my parents since day one. My parents and my golf instructor, Brian Cairns, have been there for me since, I've been working with Brian for 12 years about now, so he's been there for me since I was a young kid and always put the time in beyond just the basic, you get your 1 hour lesson and I'll see you later. He was always there. I played golf with him and kind of looked up to him as a mentor. And then my dad got me into the game of golf, so he was always a guy who never let me settle for just making excuses and being okay, just with tough days. And he kept pushing me, and my mom's always been there to support me. So I've been blessed to have the family and the support system I've had before I even got to Michigan State with Coach Louvain and Coach Ellis. So it's been phenomenal having them there. And I also have my high school coaches there, Mike Anderson, Rick Williams, and Jimmy Dooling, who are great mentors to me in life as well. Just extremely blessed to have some of the people I do in life, and seeing them there this week was beyond golf, it was the coolest thing in the world.
We're talking with U.S. Amateur Champion James Piot on our Long Drive segment, brought to you by Forest Acres and Golf MSU appropriately. James, most people who are listening to this will never have the pressurized competition that you have, but when you're playing match play, and somebody gets it rolling the way you did on that last 9, and you win 4 straight holes, what's that like for an opponent? Maybe you've been on the other end of that a time or two. How do you put the brakes on?
I thought Austin did a great job of kind of digging and stopping it. I won 4 holes in a row, and on 14, I hit that wedge to about a foot, and was conceded for a birdie. So he had to get it up and down from 50 yards and hit a shot to about 15 feet. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, he misses that. I'm 2 up with 4 to play. And just making the putt he made was kind of a big momentum killer. So just, when you got a guy who's just charging, it's huge if you get a swing like that. And unfortunately, fortunately, I was able to keep the momentum rolling, even though he did that. They usually, for a lot of people, if you make a big-time putt like that and answer back, they're a little shaky. And that drive I hit on 15, just able to find not a bunker. I wouldn't even say the fairway, but not a bunker was huge, and able to get me 2 up. But it's just you got to believe in the back of your head that no matter who's charging, you got to make your own breaks and just keep the pedal to the metal.
James, we've been talking about how your life's going to change at least in the next year or so. You're obviously automatically exempt back into that tournament if you stay an amateur. But you've got British Open invitation coming up for next summer, U.S. Open, Masters traditionally invite you guys. Do you think that, and I'll be the first to say if Rocket Mortgage is listening, they better invite you as well. But do you think this experience will change anything about your approach to your final college season?
Not too much. I really, just want to enjoy my last ride with the boys, and it's, been a big blessing playing at Michigan State. So this year, the only thing it might change as far as is the credit load on how many classes I take this spring getting ready to go. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the college season and getting back out there with the Spartans. I missed it a lot last year. I mean, we played last year, but only in the spring, and it still didn't feel like it was a complete year. So definitely looking forward to this year. We're going to have a really good team, and our goal this year is some Big Ten championship stuff. So hopefully we make it happen.
You know about name, image, and likeness, right? And what is changing in collegiate athletics. I'm thinking that James Pyatt, if maybe USGA is okay with this, certainly the NCAA is now, that you can make a few bucks with golf lessons and some other things. And we said that maybe Grand Traverse Pie Company can become Grand Traverse Pyatt Company. And maybe when you head to the Masters that week, they can have a special key lime pie or something that's green, and you get some endorsement bucks for this.
No, that'd be super sweet, but I haven't really thought too much into this. I mean, I've been just my week so far has been try to get back to everyone who's texted me. I'm still way behind on that, unfortunately, but it's, that's something for the future we'll think about, but definitely, it's a cool thought, and that would be awesome.
Tom, you know a lot of media hacks who could use a lesson or two from James, right?
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
For sure.
That would be good. Have you given golf lessons at all? Have you done anything like that in the past?
No, I haven't actually. I mean, obviously I've been willing to help out buddies or people I know, with some tips, but I've never, been the guy to say, hey, give me some cash to do it. So it's definitely, something that really hasn't been a thought to me yet, but that's a pretty funny idea.
Well, one of the things I really liked, Tom, was watching that last round, and Greaser was hitting that thing out there, and a lot of times you were hitting first on the second shot, and you never let that get in your head. At least it looked like you were just playing your game. And in match play, that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely he's a long ball hitter compared to me. He still drove it really nice for how long he hit. Most guys hit it that long. If you miss hit one, it goes offline a bit. So he did a great job driving it, but I just knew kind of the strength of my game was just hitting fairways and sticking to what I know best. So I just said, even though he's going to hit it 30 by you and it's going to look cool and the people at home are going to think, he's dominating you by that, it's more than just distance to golf. You got to be able to find a way to get the ball in the hole, and at the end of the day, that's what I did.
Well, congratulations again. Tom and I want to be among the first media members to wish you well when you get back and all of the great opportunities you're going to have in 2022. And I told Valentina Rossi that I need a putting lesson, so I need a chipping lesson too. So we'll make that work. Congratulations, James.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right. James Pyatt. Tom, we're going to stay right here on another guest line, and we're going to welcome in Brian Harris, and he is course manager and head professional, Forest Acres Golf Courses and Golf MSU. And today, the final round of the Michigan PGA Championship. How are you, Brian?
Hey, Jack, Tom. Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Well, we're doing fine, and you were doing fine in the first round of this tournament. I think you were in the top 16, but you're playing against the best in the state. I'm guessing you're playing against some people who play a lot more golf than you do.
Oh, I can't use that as an excuse, but that is true. But, I had some good holes, some bad holes, and just unfortunately didn't have enough reps in this year to make it work. I hit the ball really good today, actually, and the score does not show that, but had a good time anyway, and was able to have my wife was watching me all week and my grandparents. So it was a fun couple of days we had here this week.
I'm just curious, Brian, have you already put in a request for the U.S. Amateur Trophy to be sitting in the pro shop there at Forest Acres?
Yeah, I'll talk to James in private when he gets in town here in a couple weeks, and we'll see if we can make that happen. What a cool thing. I know he was just on, and what a cool thing to watch on Sunday. And so proud of that kid. He's a good kid, and he hung in there and played just a terrific day of golf on Sunday.
We were talking about name, image, and likeness and some of the opportunities that might be there a commercial setting. What about Golf MSU and 9 Holes with Pyatt? I imagine there'd be a lot of people would be interested in that.
Yeah, I might have to do some paperwork for that, but we can try to figure that out. No, but again, what a good kid. I'm glad he's at Michigan State, and I know so many people are proud of him, and we are too at the golf course. So it was a wonderful thing this weekend.
Hey, Brian, tell our listeners a little bit about the Michigan PGA Championship that you just participated in, some of the kind of guys who play in it, the level of play, the format and all that stuff. Fill us in, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year was the 100th playing of the Michigan PGA. We were down at Prestwick Village down just on the other side of Heartland. Wonderful golf course, is in great shape. And, we've got some younger guys coming up. So one of them, Ben Cook, who actually used to work for me. I won't take any credit for his golf game, but he used to work for us as an intern. And I think Ben won today, actually. But
Springs, right?
Yankee Springs, yes, sir. Yep. And but Jeff Roth has been a longstanding member of the Michigan PGA, and Scott Hebert, Brian Cairns, who I think helps out James a little bit coaching wise. So a lot of guys have been around for a long time, kind of all over the board on the age side of things, from younger guys to guys in their 50s. So 54-hole stroke play. And you make a cut after the 36 to the top 60 or the low 60 and ties from there. So, and again, this is a wonderful year having the 100th PGA down there, and golf course is in great shape, and obviously weather was good, and you just had to make some birdies and not make mistakes. So the guys at the top of the leaderboard were able to do that this week.
Brian, you didn't have to play 9 rounds in 7 days the way that James Pyatt did, but what's it like for somebody who is busy with the courses and all the players who come through? That's not your number one responsibility by any means here, is to win the Michigan PGA Championship, but to play 3 straight days of competitive golf after not playing much, how tough is that?
It's not too challenging. My wife and I, she videotaped me hitting balls last night, and I had some colorful things I was saying to myself, unfortunately, on the ends. If you pop 8 Advil throughout the day, you're in pretty good shape. So I actually feel much better today, round 3, than I did early in the week. You're able to get loosened up a little bit, and I don't find it too hard, other than the grind of trying, not to, trying to keep the ball in play, I guess. So after not playing for so long, but it's super fun. I don't find it too challenging. Again, some Advil and those sorts of things kind of help make it a little bit easier.
Hey, Brian, and your job is basically kind of running the ship there at Forest Acres and the relationship with the men's and women's college team there. What thoughts were running through your head when you were watching James on Sunday and you saw all the teammates in the crowd and celebrating with him afterwards? I assume that was a little more personal for you because you know all those kids.
Yeah, it just shows that they're a big family. All those kids practice together, both the men's and women's teams, and it just shows that they were there to support him. And it's been a great couple weeks for Michigan State golf, and it's just a one big family. And again, it's truly amazing and fun to see and watch.
Ryan, congratulations on representing Mid-Michigan and Forest Acres, the Michigan PGA Championship, and I look forward to seeing you when you're back here.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, that's Brian Harris. Tom, thanks for coming in, as always. It's great. We have one more week.
We do.
Of the long drive. Looking forward to that next Wednesday, the day I get back from Boise, Idaho. We'll be right back with Hour 2 coming up.
Hello, this is Mary Stucco with Education Unfiltered. Education is so important, and it doesn't mean you have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD. It's really about what is best for you and what you need to take, whether it's a certificate or studying something in the trades or you need an associate's degree to further develop yourself. There's a great opening for people at all ages and at all stages of life who are looking to go back into education and redevelop themselves.
Check out my latest podcast with Davenport University and Lansing Community College as they join forces to host an online event to start or finish your degree.
Like and subscribe to Spotlight Podcast on our YouTube and Facebook pages and watch all my episodes, or you can listen in on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play by simply searching Education Unfiltered. This is Mary Stucco. See you soon with more conversation on Education Unfiltered.
When it's your moment, that once-in-a-lifetime moment, you don't just want jewelry. You can get that anywhere. You want a memory that will go down in history, your moment. We're Medawar, crafted with exquisite style, quality, and love, so your present will be stunning every time you look at it, every time someone notices it, and they will notice. We've devoted our lives to this art, and we're proud to share it with you. The gift you want to give is here.
Medawar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, Portage, and Brighton.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. The White House is rushing to get thousands of Americans trapped in Afghanistan out as the crisis there worsens. For now, President Biden is sticking to his plan to get U.S. citizens and Afghan allies out of the country by August 31st as the Taliban takes control. COVID vaccination booster shots are on the way for fully vaccinated Americans starting September 20th for those who've received Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Eligibility starts 8 months after an individual's second shot and involves those 18 and over. Grace is being upgraded to a hurricane. The National Hurricane Center says it's moving toward the Yucatan Peninsula. Parts of Mexico's mainland could see hurricane conditions on Friday, but the storm's track does not take it toward the U.S. Authorities in Northern California are ordering additional evacuations in El Dorado County. It's where the Caldor fire is burning out of control. The El Dorado National Forest is shut down due to the fast-moving blaze that's charred more than 53,000 acres with zero containment. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Michael Patrick, welcome to Dusty's. Did you walk up today?
I sure did. I walked up here to the patio at the tap room, having a glass of wine, and I'm going next door, Matt Rhodes, to your Dusty's cellar to get my 6 for $60, and I'm going to carry them all the way home with me because I'm counting my calories and counting my steps these days.
Yeah, the 6 for $60 is going great for the summer, and we have a whole new category of wines called Better For You wines, which have zero sugar and less calories.
No kidding. So for a glass of that, how many calories?
85 calories or less.
That's all. That's fantastic. All right. I feel good about that. I'm going to try those, and I'm looking forward to that. And we are here at Dusty's Cellar and the tap room. And by the way, it's not only the wine that walks out of here. You're doing a fairly brisk business in the catering, I hear.
That's right. Catering's picking up as fall comes, and tailgate season is almost here.
Isn't that great? People are having parties again. They're getting together again. And what better way to have a party than not have to worry about the stress of cooking? Have you do it.
Come see us on Grand River and Okemos or online at dustycellar.com.
Cheers.
Cheers, Michael Patrick.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers allowed 6 runs in the top of the 9th inning in an 8-2 loss to the Los Angeles Angels last night. Miguel Cabrera will continue his pursuit of his 500th career home run tonight after going 0 for 2 with 2 walks yesterday. Tarek Skubal takes the mound for Detroit tonight, and Shohei Ohtani gets the start for LA. Tigers outfielders Akil Baddoo and Derek Hill are getting closer to rehab assignments. Both players were placed on the injured list after colliding while making a play against Baltimore earlier this month. Baddoo remains on concussion protocol but has increased his activity and is symptom-free. Hill is dealing with sore ribs but could begin a rehab assignment soon. And the Lions are parting ways with veteran long snapper Don Muhlbach. Muhlbach spent 17 seasons with Detroit and sits at number 8 for most games played for one team in NFL history.
This is it right here.
Combining a team of reporters, columnists, and commentators.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Are you serious?
Jack Ebling has brought thought-provoking discussion.
What are you doing? That's a damn coaching mistake.
Opinion.
The customer is the one who decides when the future gets here.
Oh, no! The ship is on fire!
You have to check the report.
Are you kidding me? That game was fixed.
And overall infotainment.
I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Crazy Cooter coming at you.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again.
No arguments. Those are called ass tunes.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Welcome back to The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graf of Okemos, Graf Chevrolet, and Graf Nissan on West Grand River. 107 years in the automobile business. I am on my way down to Comerica Park for tonight's game with the Angels and the Tigers. Shohei Ohtani batting leadoff for the Angels, and then he will be on the mound and seeing if he can hit home run number 40. But maybe more important to most of the people is whether Miguel Cabrera can hit home run number 500. And want to welcome in Jim Stark, Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy, and he is our correspondent for the Tigers and the Pistons. Jim, how are you?
Alongside the freeway, waving to you as you drive by. So look for me, will you?
I will.
I'll have a sign. I'll have a sign waving. One side will say "Go Jack," and the other side will say "Go Miguel."
I'll be happy to do what Rico Beer did, and that's throw toilet paper from one car to another when he thought there was a shortage. But I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to see tonight and the idea of Miguel Cabrera maybe getting his home run, his milestone home run, off of the American League MVP, who was starting pitcher in the All-Star game, but might also hit 50 home runs. What a night.
Well, there's no question that Shohei Ohtani is one of the most unusual players we've seen come along in our lifetimes anyways. I still say, and I'll stand by it until proven wrong, that he needs to decide which way he wants to play. The Angels do. But right now, it's a lot of fun. He's a very effective pitcher. He's obviously a great hitter. And the thing about the ballpark tonight, Jack, it would have been packed anyways because of Miguel Cabrera's drive for 500. Well, now with a guy like Ohtani pitching, whatever few tickets might have been left will probably be gone because it'll be almost like a playoff atmosphere tonight.
Yeah, we might get a little rain, but it should be clear by the first pitch time. And even though I am the proverbial rain jinx, probably 3/4 of the games I go to are either rained out or rain delayed. But in terms of what this one might mean and the excitement in downtown Detroit, our goal, Jim, at the beginning of the season, I think most people would have said if the Tigers could play meaningful baseball in late August and September, that means good things. And I think that's exactly what's happening to this team.
Well, the Tigers had a rough night last night. They were 2-2 in the ninth, and Gregory Soto, who has become one of their most dependable pitchers, kind of blew it up and gave up a grand slam. So that was not pretty. But still, the Tigers are 5 games under 500 with half of August gone now. I think if you and I would have said in April or February, March, would you take the Tigers being 5 games under 500 in the middle of August? We'd have taken it and ran. So, and I think while the drive for Miguel Cabrera to get that 500 home run is fun, it's even more fun with the Tigers being really competitive.
It seems like he's walking a lot, or he's being walked a lot, and I know he wants to hit. After home run number 500, there's a chase for his 3,000th hit. Do you think teams are pitching him differently?
Nah, I don't think we're focused a lot more. I think maybe nobody wants to be the guy that hits the 500 home run off, so that they pitching more carefully. But I think it's it'll come when it comes. If he's pressing, if he's trying too hard, maybe he needs to do it away from Comerica Park because, I was there Friday night, of course, for the game, the Lions game, and I obviously before and after hung around the stadium outside. There was definitely an air of electricity with the fans, and that's got to affect Miguel a little bit as far as pressing too hard, maybe. But I think Ohtani's not the easiest guy to hit home runs. I think he's good up less than 10 on the season. But then again, Cabrera's always had a knack for rising to the occasion. So maybe he would pick this night to find that fastball and drive it home.
How much do you think it matters to him to hit it at home?
I think it matters a lot. I know I mentioned it last week when we talked about it. He's got a king-sized ego. He loves the attention. He loves being Miguel Cabrera. He loves being the MVP. He loves being the Triple Crown winner. So I think it means a lot to him to do it at home. He loves the celebration. He loves the fun of it. So I think it makes a big. He's beloved wherever he goes. He's a fan favorite wherever he goes. But I think it'd mean more to him to do it at home.
Jim, have you seen a no-hitter in person in the ballpark?
No, the closest I think I mentioned, I left one in the fourth inning, and the other one I got down for the ninth inning, and the guy got a hit the minute I got there. So that's the last. Those are the two closest ones I've come to.
I saw John Hiller, of all people, who was a terrific relief pitcher for the Tigers, start a game in the first game of a twilight doubleheader in 1968. Denny McClain pitched the nightcap and lost in his 31-6 season, but they threw Hiller in, and he pitched a one-hitter against the White Sox. But I've never seen a no-hitter, and I'm wondering whether I would rather see that or see Shohei Ohtani hit 4 home runs or see Miggy hit number 500.
Well, no question for me, I'd rather see the 500 because that's a career. There's 12, 14, 16 no-hitters every year. There's only 23 guys in the history of baseball that have 500 home runs or whatever the number is. It's a very low number. That's historic. I mean, a no-hitter is important. Now, if it's a perfect game, I think I'd probably have an argument there. But of those three, I absolutely want to see the 500 home run because that's a specific career of achievement.
Well, the Tigers were almost the victims of a perfect game last Sunday. And Tristan McKenzie, who is without doubt the skinniest player in Major League Baseball, 6'5", 165 pounds.
I'll put Kent Tekulve up against him from a historic standpoint, but they both be pretty. They wouldn't break any scales, that's for sure.
165 pounds at 6'5", Jim. That's pretty slim.
What was it? Wasn't Tekulve about the same though? Kent Tekulve,
I don't think he was that tall. I don't think he was 6'5".
Okay.
He was thin, no question about that, but so was the Tigers' offense last Sunday. And, Indians only had to pitch to 28 batters.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the Tigers' offense, Jack. It's one step closer to getting a lot of reinforcements. I think you and I talked about it off the air this week, but the fact that Torkelson and Green are now 60 miles away in Toledo gives that offense a little bit of a boost because they're both having great years. They were both moved up to AAA Toledo along with Ryan Creedler, the shortstop, but they are one quick phone call from making their debuts. And I would expect right now, Jack, we'll see them both in September. But who knows? If there's another big injury and they continue to hit the way they had the last month or two, you might see one of them call up sooner.
If Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson and we'll say one of the other draftees becomes a starter for the American League in the All-Star game, does that mean Jim Stark will come out and say that Al Avila is one heck of a general manager?
I'll say he's been a very productive general manager. I don't know if I would say a heck of a general manager until he wins a championship. But, if these guys pay off like the plan calls for, absolutely, because let's face it, the plan last year was to bring up Casey Mize and Tarek Skubal give them a taste of the big leagues last September or late in the season, and then this year they both blossomed. If they use the same strategy with Green and Torkelson, they give them a taste this year. So next year, if it's not so new, maybe that makes a lot of sense.
All right. I know you love A.J. Hinch, correct?
He's impressed me every day of the season so far.
All right. I know it's not much of a body of work, but better manager, A.J. Hinch or Jim Leyland?
Well, I got to go Jim Leyland because he won. You know, until Hinch wins here. But I'll tell you what, I like the way Hinch uses his.
Leyland didn't win a championship here.
He won 2 pennants. So
okay, but he didn't win the World Series. Okay.
No, but they won a lot of championships. But here's the thing about A.J. Hinch. I like the way he uses his pitching staff more than I like Jim. I thought Jim Leyland was a little bit too strict. Pulling guys out too soon. I like the way Hinch lets his pitchers pitch, and that certainly is a plus. I think Leyland was a little bit old school for me in the way of kind of a heavy-handed approach, where Hinch seems to be much more of a player's manager. So I like his techniques, but until he starts to win here, I got to give the nod to Leyland.
Yeah, and another guy who was could be heavy-handed at times. He was fun to talk to, certainly, but if you disagreed with him, you usually regretted it, and that was Sparky Anderson.
Oh, but Sparky was so much more of a PR guy than Leyland. Sparky was a front man. He understood the value of public relations. Jim Leyland didn't care. Jim Leyland, all he wanted to do was have his Marlboros and his meal after the game and win baseball games. Where Sparky had a real flair for the public, the flair for the media. Sparky, you never saw Sparky's dark side, right? You saw Jim Leyland all the time. He didn't care. But Sparky was much better at hiding that, even though you and I know he could be a real hard case sometimes. But Sparky he was that master of the malaprop. He loved the stage. Jim Leyland didn't want the stage.
Yeah. Jim Leyland, when I did the book in 2006, I spent that whole year down Comerica. He did not have a filter. He's very honest, and I said one time that the only filter he had was on his Marlboro.
Well, you ever watch him eat in his post-game press conference? That was quite the scene. Sparky would never have done that. You know what I mean? Sparky was on stage when he was doing his post-game press conference, where Leyland just couldn't wait to get it over and get home.
Yeah, Sparky would eat post-game when he didn't want to be there, or it didn't happen often. But when the first thing Leyland did was get to that buffet line, and when Ryan Field would be there, he didn't like Ryan for some reason, and he would always kind of spit food at him.
Well, he chased Ryan right out of town, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he thought he was a pretty boy. He is, a very handsome guy, but I don't know. Jim Leyland was really interesting. I liked him.
Jim Leyland did not, keep his comments to a minimum. I mean, he said exactly what was on his mind.
Right. And, I had good luck with him, but I can tell you he didn't suffer fools easily. And if he got what he thought was a stupid question or, he let it be known. So a lot of people were sheepish or apprehensive about even asking him something.
Well, he could be very intimidating.
Yeah, yes, he could be. He definitely could be for a guy who wasn't that big physically. But, hey, we saw him leave spring training. He left the ballpark, and then he got a report that Barry Bonds was being an ass, and he turned around and he went back and he went out in the outfield, and he chewed Barry Bonds in a way that I have never seen. It's a classic video if you see it.
Yeah.
And he also went at Kirk Gibson in a way that Gibby will tell you the stories about when he signed in professional baseball, and he's got Leyland as a manager in the minors. And when Leyland picked him up, Kirk thought, well, I'm a big hot shot. The time they got to the hotel, he felt like he was the lowest guy on the totem pole. and Leland told him exactly what it was going to be and when they were going to work out and what they were going to do. And if he did everything the way that Leland wanted, maybe he let him play in the game.
Well, it's funny because Sparky had the same philosophy, but he went about it a whole different way, Sparky had a sense of who to treat, who to pat on the behind, who to kick in the behind. Leland kicked everyone in the behind. I don't know that he patted anybody in the behind. But again, both of them were ultimately always in charge of their team.
Yeah. Sparky told me one time that the hardest thing he had to do as a manager was get Jack Morris out of a game, going out to the mound because Jack never wanted to leave. And now Bally Sports Detroit has got Jack out of the game, at least for a while. He's not fired, but he is suspended indefinitely, and he's going to be forced to go to some bias training seminars because of the comment he made last night about Shohei Ohtani and a very poor impression of Japanese. What do you make of that incident, about what Morris did and about the reaction to it?
Well, the thing that strikes me is it was so ridiculous. Morris is a professional. It wasn't part of the discussion. It was amateurish and it was sophomoric. I mean, I get somebody being off color if you're trying to be clever. It wasn't even funny. It was ridiculous. And as a professional on the air, you and I both know there's some things you never do, and that's one of them. But again, it wasn't clever. It wasn't smart. It wasn't someone like Bob Page who could really be sardonic. But it was dopey. It was stupid. And so why get yourself in trouble for something that adds nothing to your resume? You know what I mean? So I think it was a mistake.
Yeah. You know Jack Morris better than I do. Does this surprise you? Do you think that...
No. What surprised me, it doesn't happen more often. He's another guy who says exactly what's on his mind. Now, he's mellowed a lot, but he still is very, very outspoken. But it's the thought of what he did. How do you think of it? It's such an amateurish thing. Why would you pretend a voice? And it makes no sense at all. It was a mistake, but it was a mistake that you never make. You shouldn't make. And he deserves to be suspended, not fired, but suspended. And like you say, sent for some training or whatever. In today's world, you have to be more aware. You can't afford to put yourself or your employer in jeopardy by saying something as stupid as that. And it wasn't like it was an opinion and he pushed the line. It was just stupid. And that's why I have very little tolerance for that. And he's getting what he deserved. I think he's a good broadcaster. I like listening to him, but you can't cross that line, and he's learned that the hard way.
Are you surprised, and do you think it's fair that now his critics have gone back and dredged up some of the things that he said as a player, some of the things that one particular comment he made to a female reporter, and now whatever he did is fair game?
Well, I never think it's fair to go back because you're a different person now than you were 10, 20, 30 years ago. Think of the things that you might have said 30 years ago, or I might have said. No, yeah. I think it's fair to judge someone unless it's been repeated behavior. Now, if it's a constant litany of the same kind of behavior, that's one thing. But if he said something, and Jack Morris did have a come to Jesus moment, as you know, about 12, 14 years ago when he apologized to the media. He said he was a jerk. And since then, he's been a different person. He's been appreciated. So I don't think it's fair to judge him by what he did 20, 25 years ago. Judge what he's doing now. And what he did now is plenty stupid enough for anybody.
So how long do you think that he will be in dry dock? Do you think that this is a couple of weeks? You think that maybe through the rest of this season? And do you think Bally Sports Detroit is handling this the right way?
Well, I think they're handling it the only way they can. They couldn't do anything else in today's climate. I don't think it'll be. I think it might be until they get maybe the next home series. It might be a week, It'll certainly be the rest of this series with the Angels, but I don't think it'll be longer than that. And I think the way they're handling it, he's apologized. He's going to have to go to the training. It's best to put it in the back. He didn't mean anything by it. It wasn't an insult. It was stupid. So I think they're handling it the right way.
Do you think it would make any difference, Jim, if Jack Morris shows up tonight and goes into the Angels clubhouse and profusely apologizes to Shohei Ohtani?
No. The thing is, he didn't insult Shohei Ohtani. He was complimenting him on his pitching style. He made a stupid Asian criticism. Yeah. That's who he should apologize to. He already did. I think the best thing to do is to let it go now. Let the punishment run its course and move on, because nobody benefits now from him apologizing. He already apologized, and it's not worth any more energy. How's that?
All right. How do you think it will be handled tonight on the broadcast? What do you think Matt Shepard will say, if anything?
He might recap.
What do they do?
He might recap the press release from Bally today about what's happening with Morris, but that'll be it. There won't be any comments. It won't be brought up. It might be mentioned in that way of why he's not there, but that'll be it. I think everyone wants to move on from this.
Okay. Do you think that Ohtani will be asked
Jack, let me ask you a question. You've been in broadcasting for a long time. What if me or one of your cohorts that you work with did something like this? What would your reaction be?
Well, if it was you, you'd be fired. If it was somebody else,
you're looking. That's too easy. You want to get rid of me? That's too easy.
No, I would think that as you say, things have changed. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it wrong. Just the situation and the playing field now is much different than it was. And you would think that Jack would have been smarter than this. But things that were just kind of ignored years ago, I can think of a time where something like this, you might have rolled your eyes, or you might have thought, that was pretty dumb. But it happened, and those kinds of things happened a lot. The treatment of women writers, journalists, very different 20 years ago. Now, someone could never get away with the stuff that Morris and several of his teammates did.
I'm not even sure Morris was punished for that one comment he made.
No.
Was he?
He should have been. He should have been.
Right. So when you're on the air, Jack, is that always in the back of your mind to be careful and not let those kind of things, or any type of thing that might be considered off color come out? Do you think about that?
It is, and Jim, I'll tell you why. Because I had this kind of training early on from an editor named Ed Sinesco at the Lansing State Journal. And I made an inappropriate reference early on to an incredible scheduling streak. And I made a war reference. And he grabbed me and he said, "Don't you ever do that again." And he nearly hit me. But he was, he got my attention. He was 6 inches shorter than I was. But he made sure I knew that there are people who lost their lives in a war, and I had to be smarter and more sensitive than that. And fortunately, he was there to take it out of the paper. So nobody knew about it. This is probably the first time anyone's ever heard about it. But from that point on, I was doubly cognizant of it. And it's easy to make a slip, and I think it's particularly easy for former players because the clubhouse environment is much different. It's not scrutinized. It's kind of a, anything goes situation.
Well,
there are things that are said there that could never be said on the air.
Right. Yeah. Ethnic slurs, ethnic hazing, and it's all done, and everyone knows it's done in fun. And as long as it's in the confines of the locker room, that's where it stays. But you're right. If some of those things ever got out, you would never hear the end of it. But I remember when I was on the air in Ann Arbor, Jack, I think we had a list of things in front of us just to keep our mind, because there's something you just want to stay away from, you know?
Yeah.
And it helped me remind me to just, when in doubt, don't say it.
Well, let me give you an example. Craig Monroe, okay? I'm willing to bet at some point during his career, someone made a reference. You know, maybe they called him a name, or maybe they made a joke, that was inappropriate, and it was kind of laughed off. You saw with Fuzzy Zeller what happened, but it's because it became public. And if you do it in private, it's one thing, and maybe it's understood differently. But if you do that as a broadcaster, you're usually a former broadcaster.
Well, one of the great examples of that, Jack, of all time was Howard Cosell, who was a legendary figure in broadcasting, and he called I think it was it Art Monk, referred to him as a monkey or something. I don't think he meant anything derogatory by it. It was just his way of describing the way he played football, but it cost him his career.
Yeah.
Or the end of his career, anyway.
That's happened with a lot of guys, actually. You think about Tom Brenneman.
Yep.
And comment he made. You think about even when Rush Limbaugh was doing NFL football games, he was providing commentary in the studio for ESPN and made some comments about Donovan McNabb. And, I don't know that Rush Limbaugh ever did figure out what was wrong with what he said, but
right.
ESPN certainly did. And now I think we are at a time, Jim, where the reaction to something, the political correctness, it's never right to do it. But in most cases now, it's not forgivable. And when I heard it happened, I said, well, maybe Jack Morris is fortunate that this didn't happen 2 years ago, or he wouldn't have been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Because these things now become an anchor around your neck. You don't just slough them off. And part of it's because of social media. When you Google Jack Morris's name now, what's the first thing that comes up? He was suspended for making fun of Asians, and it'll be that way until time changes. But social media is a huge driver of some of these situations.
Yeah, I don't know if even the first thing that comes up, but it'll come up, and it'll come up pretty quickly.
Right now, if you Google his name, it'll be the first thing to come because it's so hot right now.
Yeah. Well, it's the news story, but I mean, if you think about it, when 5 years from now, if you check the bio on Jack Morris, the first thing will be that he's a Baseball Hall of Famer.
Right. But
but
again, this will always be
World Series brilliance and that stuff.
Well, and here's the other thing. Part of it, Jack, is that, like you say, the response should be appropriate to whatever happened, And sometimes the response gets way overblown to what actually happened, and that's not fair either.
All right, I need to ask you about the rest of the season here, Jim. We're getting down to the nuts. So Tigers are 5 games under 500, and that's much better than I thought they would be. The high-level mark for any predictor was 84 wins. And there were people who didn't think they would win 60, Alex Heward, and a few others who thought that they would be in the mid-60s. I thought they'd win 68.
I think I was 69.
They're going to be in the 70s, I would guess. So when you look at this season, it's hard to see it as anything but an unqualified success.
Well, I think A.J. Hinch alone and his debut season makes it a success. What he's shown, his ability, the promise of the future. But yeah, I think if they continue playing the pace they have since May 8th or whatever that cutoff date is, Jack, they could finish the season 500. They could play 5 games over 500 the rest of the season and finish at 500, which to me would be a home run. If they get 500 for the year, they're moving up next year. They're spending money. So because that's a huge, huge improvement. And you got all these guys in the horizon. So, these next 6 weeks are important because they're building now for the future. They're not rebuilding anymore. They're building.
Jim, is there any chance at all that the rest of the way they could be 11 games over 500 and Fred Thompson would nail his 84-win prediction and I would lose my bet?
Jack, I think you're pretty safe on that. 11 games over 500 this time of year when teams are fighting for the pennant, fighting for the wild card is tough. I think 82 wins is an outside possibility, or 81, for the 500. But I think you're pretty safe on your bet. It would take an extraordinary effort, I think, to win and go 11 games over 500 the rest of the way.
What is more likely, that the Tigers finish 500 or that Miguel Cabrera gets to 3,000 hits?
Finish 500. I think Miguel Cabrera getting the other 48 hits is a huge order, a tall order. I think it's more likely of those two scenarios they get to 500 than Miguel getting his 3,000 hits.
Well, someone told me that the schedule, which has been soft of late, gets very tough in September, but you may have teams that have spots locked up in that last week, and maybe they rest players.
Yeah, there's that possibility. It depends how soon somebody and the races are pretty. Somebody's like a Chicago White Sox, they're a pretty big lead, right? So you're right. They're not going to waste pitchers' arms that last week of the season. All depends how the schedule falls. All depends on how the races fall. But there's every reason to expect the Tigers could win these go 5 games over these next 6 weeks, because they played that way for the last 3 months, right? So right. I think that'll be fun to see. But again, I keep saying what that does for next year. It sets the table for next year. It sets the table for bringing up Riley and bringing up Torkelson and have them do for the offense what Mize has done for the pitching. That to me is what they hope for out of those two guys.
All right. One quick non-baseball question, but you also are a contributor for us with the Detroit Pistons. How surprised were you, and what does it mean, if anything, that Luka Garza the other night had 21 points and 15 rebounds in that summer league game? And remember, these are 40-minute games, not 48. So when you figure you're getting 15 rebounds, that's like getting 20 rebounds in a regulation game.
Well, I think we talked at the time of the draft, Jack. I was shocked he dropped as far as he did. You're talking about the AP Player of the Year in the country last year. This is not a guy that just came out of nowhere. But I said right along, I think he has solid skills. The knocks on him are his slow foot speed and his poor defense. But you know what? Those two things you can work on. Bill Laimbeer was always criticized that way too. He became a key part of a championship team. So I think Garza may end up being the steal of the draft and could be a very solid, I'm not saying all-star, but he could be a very solid NBA center, which is a steal in the second round. So I'm excited to see how his progress comes along.
Yeah, and Laimbeer was a second-round pick as well, right?
And it took him, two teams in 6 years to develop? But remember, I think what Garza does is punches a ticket for your favorite center, Jahlil Okafor, out of Detroit. I don't think there's almost no chance we'll see Okafor this year.
Well, that's fine with me. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. And if I catch that home run, I'll show it to you.
Well, I'll be watching you on TV, Jack, and I'll tell you, I wish I was going down there because I think the atmosphere will be electric. But enjoy it, and I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are if Miggy does hit it tonight. What the fan reaction is? It'll be a special place to be for sure. So good luck.
All right, thanks, Jim. We will be right back and joined by Lorenzo White, College Football Hall of Famer and Michigan State's greatest offensive player. We'll be right back.
As families and communities across Michigan gear up for an historic back-to-school season, Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join their dedicated team of school bus drivers. They offer competitive wages and paid training, quality benefits, flexible schedules, and most of all, endless opportunities to make a difference. Apply today at deanjobs.com to join this critical effort to help students return to learn this fall. deanjobs.com.
At Culver's, we cook our butter burgers pretty much the same as you would at home, only our 3-cut blend of fresh beef will do. Then you'll need to master our signature press and sear technique. You may want to practice a few thousand times. Add real Wisconsin cheese, top with a lightly buttered toasted bun, and serve yourself with a big warm smile.
Better yet, come to Culver's and leave the whole cook-to-order butter burger thing to us. Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome to Be the Referee with veteran MHSAA official Sam Davis.
One of the long-term strategies in the game of football is deception. It has a lot of other names and most often goes these days by the name of trickery. Catching an opponent off guard can break a game wide open, but catching the officiating crew off guard is something you don't want to have happen, or else your big play may be blown dead inadvertently. That's why during the pregame meeting the officiating crew has with each head coach, one of the questions that will be asked is, Coach, do you have any trick plays that we should be watching for? And coaches, who are usually tight-lipped about a lot of their strategies, will be very open and describe in detail anything fancy that's in the playbook for that game. This type of communication gets coaches and officials on the same page and ensures that when trickery comes visiting, only the opponents are surprised.
Thanks, Sam. You can be a referee. Go online now to MHSAA.com to register. Be the Referee is a production of the MHSAA Network.
Jack Ebling here with Forest Acres course manager Brian Harris. Brian, it's just about time for some new product. You've got them all here at Acres and terrific club fitting.
Yeah, we've got some of the best club fitting in the state of Michigan. We utilize the TrackMan technology with all the major brands. So if you're looking for clubs for yourself or that special person in your life, then we're the place to go.
Lots of different manufacturers.
Lots of different ones from all the major brands, Titleist, Callaway, Ping, and more. So please come see us for your club fitting today.
Stop out at Forest Acres. Take care of your golf game. Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Matt, you got some new product, including electric vehicles.
Yeah, we got a lot of new product coming, Jack. On the Chevy side, we've got the 2022 Bolt EV and all-new Bolt EUV, which is just redesigned from the ground up. We're really excited about that. That's going to be hitting a lot any day now. Next door at Nissan, we've got the all-new redesigned Pathfinder from the ground up. I got to sit in it recently, drop dead gorgeous. And then we have the 2022 Frontier as well, which is completely redesigned. So fantastic product coming, and we're really excited.
Stop by and see Matt and company here at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
At Culver's, we cook our butter burgers pretty much the same as you would at home, only our 3-cut blend of fresh beef will do. Then you'll need to master our signature press and sear technique. You may want to practice a few thousand times. Add real Wisconsin cheese, top with a lightly buttered toasted bun, and serve yourself with a big warm smile.
Better yet, come to Culver's and leave the whole cook-to-order butter burger thing to us. Welcome to Delicious.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers allowed 6 runs in the top of the 9th inning in an 8-2 loss to the Los Angeles Angels last night. Miguel Cabrera will continue his pursuit of his 500th career home run tonight after going 0 for 2 with 2 walks yesterday. Tarek Skubal takes the mound for Detroit tonight, and Shohei Ohtani gets the start for LA. Tigers outfielders Akil Baddoo and Derek Hill are getting closer to rehab assignments. Both players were placed on the injured list after colliding while making a play against Baltimore earlier this month. Baddoo remains on concussion protocol but has increased his activity and is symptom-free. Hill is dealing with sore ribs but could begin a rehab assignment soon. And the Lions are parting ways with veteran long snapper Don Muhlbach. Muhlbach spent 17 seasons with Detroit and sits at number 8 for most games played for one team in NFL history.
You're listening to The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Just trying to grind through camp here. Good fundamentals, build our conditioning, just keep getting better every day.
SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. The Detroit Tigers in action again tonight against the Los Angeles Angels. And the game got away last night in the top of the ninth. But Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Angels, and see what happens with Miguel Cabrera. All right. Let's go out to our guest line and welcome in simply the greatest offensive football player in Michigan State history, College Football Hall of Famer. That's so much fun to say that. Lorenzo White, number 34, workhorse in the George Perles era, and, of course, Michigan State's all-time leading ball carrier. How you doing, Lo?
How you doing, Doug?
Are you staying healthy down there in South Florida?
Man, trying to keep, trying to stay safe.
The COVID numbers we are seeing a little scary, and Michigan State headed in that direction for the third game of the season against the Miami Hurricanes. A lot of people masked up now. Are they getting the message that this isn't something to mess around with?
Oh, exactly. It's on the news, TV, radio. I mean, people standing out, wear your mask and stay safe, so they taking it serious now.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening with this Michigan State football team, and they got a back who's transferred in from Wake Forest named Kenneth Walker, and he looks like a pretty exciting runner, but they got 4 or 5 guys. And when we talked to the offensive coordinator yesterday, Jay Johnson, he said, you want to have a lot of backs and keep them fresh, and the days of the one workhorse back are pretty much over. And I'm thinking to myself, nobody said that when Lorenzo White was carrying the ball 419 times a year.
Well, you look at football now, Jack, it's a little different now. When I think about that, I think going to the Houston Oilers and playing in the run and shoot offense kind of got me prepared for, today's game. But yeah, that workhorse, getting it 25, 30 times a game, I think you don't see that anymore.
You see individual backs today, Lo, who catch more passes in one game than Bobby McAllister completed in the game against Indiana that won the Big Ten championship. And I guess that's it now. You got to be able to do a lot of things. You got to be able to block, pass block. You got to catch. It's not just putting the ball and doing toss left.
Yes, I mean, like I said, the run and shoot kind of got me prepared for, what's going on, because that's what they're doing. And you have to be able to, be multi-talented to, be able to have that catch the ball and block. So.
Tico Duckett, who followed you at Michigan State and went on, had a terrific career, right up there, close behind you in terms of overall rushing yards in his 4 seasons in the lineup, said that when he went to the pros, he thought his durability would be a big plus. Instead, some of the pro teams said, no, that's miles on the car. You're kind of a used car here. Do you still feel aches and pains from all the times that you carried the football?
Well, yes, I do. When just the game in itself. You don't know any difference until your days of football is over. Yeah. And, I think back to, my set now as to what it was when I was playing, that's dealing with pain.
Right.
If it didn't hurt, you ain't working hard enough,
Right.
So, the days of that is over with. They're not trying to hit that. And with that thing, it's a good thing. Now it's about safety.
Yeah.
everything now is about safety. So I get, where they're coming from in today's game.
Right.
But just the wear and tear. In our minds, because of you start at the age of 7, 8. Playing football, and that's all no pain, no gain, and it's different now. If you say that, you probably getting fired or you getting locked up.
George Perlis had a little different theory on this and the job share for a running back, and he thought every 25 carries for you meant Blake Ezor got to go in for one series.
Yeah. Yeah, but in that, you gotta think that you got a different bite that comes in than the person that's been carrying it that 25 times.
Right. Right.
You get a guy that's way faster than Lorenzo White, and now he's a lot shiftier. So.
Well, he was really fast. There's no question about that, and he was a little tough son of a gun too. I wanted to ask you, Lo, about this Michigan State football team, what you know about it, and what's your impression of Mel Tucker thus far?
Mel Tucker is an outstanding coach. I think got a chance to talk with him in the off season, in the beginning. The shoes that I wouldn't say the shoes. When you're coming in taking a job. That was like kind of down, and with so many things going against the program at that time, it was hard for him. So I really think that he's going to do some great things, to help us get right up there in the top ranks.
He's certainly recruiting the South and spending a lot of time recruiting all over the country, not just in Michigan and Ohio. And no team, Lo, anywhere in the country has had a season where they've had 5 different schools contribute transfer players. Michigan State in the portal will be getting players from Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and Mississippi State, plus another one from the University of Michigan. So Michigan State with the portal, they're be wearing these name tags for most of the season.
Well, it comes down to, recruiting, the players. When you think about the great teams, you think about, different players and where you can get players from, and, you can get them all over. And that's what it's coming to now. So I guess that portal kind of that, you had guys that had, like, maybe, like they had the run.
We're having a little bit of trouble, Alex, with Lowe's line, but you know what? Lowe had trouble with his line from time to time when he was carrying the ball, too, so that's appropriate. And he's probably in the middle of a huddle somewhere anyway, so he's not going to get great reception. But I'm glad to hear you say that about Mel Tucker, that you've had a chance to talk with him. And when you think about the challenge, it's not like he's succeeding chopped liver. Sometimes a new coach comes in and looks good in comparison. Mark D'Antonio, all he did was win 3 Big Ten championships and get the team into college football playoff. And, Lo, when you think that your team had success and going to the Rose Bowl with that 9-2-1 year, Mark D'Antonio had a stretch of 45 games where they were 40-5. So even though it fell off a little bit, Mel Tucker has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, but, and that's what it's important with, like I said, getting those players off the portal, going around trying to bring those great players to Michigan State. I just, listening and talking to them that, and they're saying things to Colorado. They did some great things at Colorado. So now we just hope he can come and bring that same here to Michigan State.
We're really having trouble with this reception, Alex. I got one more question for Lo, and we're going to let him go on this. But I wanted to ask you, because Michigan State right now in the midst of another search for Director of Athletics. And you follow what's going on up here at your alma mater. You take great pride in it. And I know that you have strong feelings about the position, what it means, how important it is, and about one of the candidates, Alan Haller, who had been Associate Director of Athletics and done a lot of things. You know Al pretty well, and not just as a football player. What's your take of him as a potential AD?
Well, I think that we had that person there for as many years as he's been at Michigan State. I think that, I think he shows that he's to run it.
Yeah.
I think that's what, when you think about everything, like I said, that happened to the last few years, and for a person to sit on the things and learn the do's and the don'ts, I think he's qualified. I think you have somebody that can put bricks in to better Michigan State. I think that's one of the top qualifiers, that we can call as true family. So, and I feel that he's the man for the job, and I hope that when it's all said and done, that he wins the job.
Yeah. Lo, I will see you in mid-September, and we're going to do another segment, and we're going to get you on a phone line where we can actually hear you, and you don't sound like you're in a wind tunnel or something. But
okay.
Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. I know you'll be looking forward to watching the Spartans in person in mid-September.
You bet, Jack. I can't wait.
Lorenzo White, number 34 in your program, number 1 on the Spartans' all-time rushing list. I want to thank everyone who was listening today and all of our special guests. Talk to you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great night.